What's up everyone? This is JP with Oracle Lighting, and today we're going to be checking out how to install the new Oracle ColorSHIFT Illuminated Dash Kit for the 2019 and up 5th Gen RAM on this 2021 Ram TRX. This kit also comes with a Bluetooth controller, which will allow you to change the colors and turn the lights on and off through an app on your smartphone. Let's get started. So the first step is to remove the infotainment system. We're going to do that by removing 2 Phillips screws from the top and then firmly pulling outward on the whole system. There's a rubber mat here that you remove to expose the screws. Now with those 2 screws removed, we're gonna firmly pull outward. It's in there pretty firm, so you gotta give it a nice hard tug. You'll see that along with the infotainment system comes the AC vents and the cover for the mode selector switch. So we're gonna go ahead and just let that rest against the shifter. So now that we have the in-dash removed, we just need to find the light housing, which is this blue casing here. This is attached to a light pipe that goes across the dash. We're gonna go ahead and pull that off, and then we're gonna go ahead and unplug it. So with the first light housing removed, we just need to remove the circuit board for the white LED from this and replace it with the Oracle RGB LED. To do that, we're just going to release these clips on the side. And we're going to pop this guy out. So with the factory LED removed, we do need to make a slight modification to this casing so we can get the wires out for the Oracle RGB circuit board. We just need to trim off this little tab here. So we're gonna trim that off flush with a pair of snips. Now we're gonna take the Oracle LED. We're gonna insert that in. We're gonna firmly push down here. We're gonna get this thing down in there as much as we can. All right. Now, we'll lay the wires over and we'll go ahead and close this down. And we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna remount this assembly back to the light pipe. All right, there we go. We're gonna go ahead and leave this cable here for now. And we're gonna route that once we get the controller in place. So next we're gonna move to the ambient light that's right over the ignition button. We're just gonna reach behind here and pull this housing outward. We're gonna go ahead and unplug this. Now we just need to do the same thing. We need to take the factory white LED out of this assembly and replace it with the Oracle RGB down-firing LEDs. You can see that there's 2 snaps on both sides. We can just get in there with a small flathead, comes right off. We can use the same flathead to go ahead and get this LED out. So before we place the Oracle circuit board into this housing, we do need to take a little bit of the material away from here. That's just gonna allow the wires to sit out better and allow this cover that we removed to go back on properly. I'm gonna use a Dremel with a sanding wheel to do this. We don't need to take off much, just a little bit. Now we're gonna go ahead and place the Oracle LED board in. There we go. So now with the Oracle LEDs installed in the housing, we just need to make a slight modification to the cover to get it to sit back over the LEDs since it is a little thicker. We're gonna go ahead and trim these tabs off. So after we've trimmed off these center tabs, we need to also trim off these smaller tabs here. And also this one. Now we can put this back on. We're gonna go ahead and reinstall this housing. Got it back in place. Last board we need to install is behind this section here. To get to this, all we need to do is remove this AC vent. Easy as that. Go ahead and remove. We'll unplug it. So we're gonna go ahead and pop this back on. Hiya. So we just need to drop this cable down through and pull it from under the dash. So go ahead and drop this down, and it should drop straight down with no issues. There we go. Pull it on down. Now we're gonna need to go underneath and pull it back up and feed it through to the center where the infotainment system is. So we're gonna go ahead and feed this wire up as far as we can, and then we're gonna pull for it. You can also use a fish rod to make this easier. And there we go. So with the wire routed, all we need to do is put this AC vent back in its place. Just a firm push. So this is the RGB Bluetooth controller that we're gonna use to power the 3 LEDs. We're gonna go ahead and mount this in this small space. It's just big enough to accommodate this and keep it out of the way. You can just set this back in that space once the in-dash is back in place. It's not gonna move around or anything like that. I am putting a piece of double-sided tape on the back of this just for some extra security. We're gonna have fold the cables over the top like this. We're gonna go ahead and stick it back in here, and then we're gonna go ahead and make sure that it's nice and stuck down. And we're going to plug in our 3 cables. With that done, we're gonna do a little bit of cable management here. We're gonna go ahead and tuck some of these cables away. We're just gonna go ahead and tuck that away behind here, like this. Just making sure that stays out of the way of the AC vent. Now we're ready for power. So we're gonna get power from the 12-volt socket at the top of the infotainment section. This is constant 12-volt power, so you can use these lights when the vehicle is off. You can also obviously use them when the vehicle is on through the app. We're gonna go ahead and use our T-taps, get that secured to the wire here. You wanna make sure that this center contact securely inserts into the slot for the T-tap, otherwise this won't work. So now we'll go ahead and put our infotainment center back in. We want to make sure that we keep these wires around this general area. That way they don't get pinched. Let's go ahead and get this guy pushed back up. Now we're just going to go ahead and give it a few firm presses. Last thing we need to do is put our screws back in the top. And reinsert our mat.